My name is Philbert Shi. Join us.
Join us.
Hi, I'm Chris. Please join us on October 26th.
I'd like to personally invite you.
How Princeton Digital Group digitalizing the future.
As we take a look in depth of the Jakarta and Indonesian co-location.
To hear about the rising internet economy in Indonesia and its impact on hyperscale and enterprise data center demand.
On 26 October 2021. Only on Zoom. And make sure.
Get your name on the waiting list, and we'll look forward to speaking with you soon.
Take care.
It has the highest COVID-19 mortality rate in Asia, hovering at around 8 to 9%. Indonesia also has the most number of coronavirus deaths in the region.
COVID-19 pandemic has a significant impact on the national and global economy. These not only the consequences for the economy, all of society is affected, which has led to dramatic changes in how businesses act and consumers behave. Businesses across different sectors in the country have been hit hard as the COVID-19 pandemic works on economic activities nationwide. But the lack of internet infrastructure in part of Indonesia has made it difficult for some businesses to bounce back. The COVID-19 pandemic has opened up the unexpected opportunity in digitalization as more small and medium, even big enterprises go online than before.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sebastian as your Master of Ceremony, and welcome to Digitalizing the Future with Princeton Digital Group. So this event will discuss how the pandemic has changed the business customer behavior, continued with how data center take a vital part in the change of business models and acceleration digitalization during this pandemic. In this occasion, PDG is proud to introduce the new Greenfield Development Project, which is Jakarta Cibitung 2, or as we know that GC2. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Mr. Chris Street as Executive Vice President and Market Development of PDG. Hi, Mr. Chris. Nice to meet you. How are you today?
Hi, Sammy, and good morning. So I'm Chris Street, Executive Vice President of Market Development at Princeton Digital Group. And in that role, I'm responsible for all of our market-facing activities across Asia, and specifically supporting our customers in relative to their deployments in our data center facilities.
Mr. Chris, we are so excited to see what PDG has bring across Asia. Can you share to us about Princeton Digital Group?
Princeton Digital Group was founded in 2017 and with our lead investor, Warburg Pincus. It was founded by our two founders, Rangu and Varun. And since that time, we have developed a data center company across Asia Pacific that has 19 data centers, 5 countries, and 13 cities. After 2018, we entered China with our first transaction, and we set up Singapore as our global headquarters. Fast forward 2019, where we really grew the company and we entered 3 markets: Indonesia and India. We've been working to grow and scale the company, and really focused on delivering hyperscale quality capacity. 2020, we delivered capacity in both Shanghai and Singapore. We also brought in another investor into the fold in the company. That was with Ontario Teachers Pension. This year, we've continued that growth, and with launching our Mumbai project in Navi Mumbai, and we also entered Japan just a couple months ago. So really, if you look across kind of the growth of Princeton, we use three main levers in terms of our growth. Is that we acquisition. We will acquire companies. We also do greenfield and brownfield development from the ground up. We've done that in China. We're doing that in Japan, and we're also doing that in Indonesia. And then the last kind of strategy that we use, or the third strategy that we use, carve out or a JV model. And that's how we entered Indonesia with our partnership with XL Axiata when we took over that data center portfolio. And so that kind of those three levers of growth really allow us to, and has allowed us in the 4 years founding a business across all of Asia. And so that's been really important to have that flexibility as we go to market.
The next question is, can you share to us about sustainability program that you implement in PDG?
Yeah, and this is near and dear to my heart because one of the things I lead is the company's sustainability and ESG program. And so the program itself, it's Princeton. Our vision and our aspiration is to be the most progressive data center operator across Asia Pacific. And so we base our sustainability strategy on 4 pillars. The first is renewables. And from our perspective, it really has to start with having renewables as a larger mix, both on the utility grids themselves in which we operate, but also as a contribution and inputs into the data center facilities. And so our customers are asking of that. Our investors are asking us to be more green. And so the renewables is really that first step. And we took that first step as a business in Indonesia last year in purchasing renewable energy credits through a partnership and program with PLN. And that was for our business there, focused in Jakarta. The second pillar that we use in our strategy is really looking at energy efficiency. And so as a data center operator, in the data centers themselves, the facilities are very energy intensive and energy dense. And so it's really up to us to not only do what we can as an operator to better the energy efficiency through looking at programs where we lower our PUE. And that's important for us, right? Because if you take it back to the three levers of growth, right, where we'll acquire existing businesses or carve out existing portfolios, we really work to transform those. And we've spent the last year and a half, almost 2 years, really concentrated on that, both in the Singapore business and in the Indonesian business, where we've taken over portfolios of facilities and really transforming those through energy efficiency programs where we're looking at all aspects of the business. Obviously, the day-to-day technical operations and reducing the PUE, but looking at things like waste and partnering with our customers to make sure that they're utilizing the space that they take and the energy that they take in a most efficient manner. And that's basic kind of hygiene things like blanking panels and racks. It's having good cable management practices. It's making sure that in our raised floor environments that the underfloor is kept clean and free of blockages and such, so that we've got very good airflow in the technical space. We also work with our customers in terms of waste management and making sure that e-waste is disposed of properly, etc. So the third aspect or third pillar of our sustainability is around certifications. And certifications is really us, Princeton, holding ourselves to global standards of practice. And that comes through the entire approach that we do business. And that includes in the design, build, and operate phase, right? So in the design phase, we look at certifications like LEED. Here in Singapore, we've got the BCA Green Mark. And so we hold the designs of our facilities that we're bringing to market to those design standards, right? And these are global standards of energy efficiency, responsible use of materials, etc. In the build phase, right, we're really working with our construction teams and our contractors to make sure that on site the construction practices are following efficiencies and responsible use of materials, right? And obviously things like health and safety come into play there from an overall ESG perspective. But we're very focused on that. We've been able to do that with programs here in Singapore, programs in China, and soon to be programs in Indonesia. The fourth and final pillar of our sustainability strategy is really around technology and innovation, right? And so using new technologies, whether it's in the mechanical systems, right, like new chillers and ACUs or different aspects of the electrical system, like energy efficiency PDUs, energy efficiency UPSs, transformers, etc. Everywhere we look in terms of the data center, both the power and the cooling trains, right? The M&E, which is the largest user outside of customers' IT gear, that within the facilities. And then the other area that we're really focused on within the technology space is within our BMS systems. And that is something that we've looked at both here in Singapore, but also in Indonesia and China, because what that allows us to do is have greater granularity and visibility into the operating systems and the operating environment itself. And by doing that, we get greater visibility. We also extend that visibility to give transparency to our customers so that they can actually see what's going on within the environment, and they can take the appropriate steps on their end if they need to modify things like rack loading or cable management or things like that. So that's really our sustainability strategy in a nice summary.
Well, Mr. Chris, thank you so much for your answer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Chris Street and also Mr. Stefanus Tumbelaka. Well, Mr. Chris and Mr. Steph, please raise your hand to push virtual button as a sign this event has been opened. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Mr. Stefanus Tumbelaka. Hi, Mr. Stefanus, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Sammy?
I'm good. Mr. Stefanus, GC2 will be one of spectacular data center in PDG portfolio. We're curious, can you share to us what GC2 brings to the market?
Sure. I'm very excited to announce the new and highly anticipated of one of PDG 3 Greenfield Data Center development, JC2, located in Greater Jakarta at MM 2100 Cibitung Industrial Area. This properly built data center is suitable for hyperscale needs with premium features and facilities. With 22,400 square meters of total floor area, 19,550 square meters site area, and 35 megawatt total capacity, JC2 offers scalability, flexibility to expand, and fast service delivery. Our data center building development offers a top-notch architecture, facilities, and infrastructure. JC2 will be a green data center that follows BCA IMDA standard in all aspects as part of our sustainability initiative. Equipped with 5 floors, JC2 will accommodate more than 2,800 racks in 4 floors. Our security layer will support the protection of the JC2 surrounding area.
What a great news! This new development will strengthen PDG's presence in Indonesia, as we know that PDG has 5 active data centers across west to east of Indonesia. So, Mr. Can you share to us a little bit?
Yeah. PDG entered the Indonesia market as the only operator with a pan-country footprint of 5 data centers across the country, covering 3 cities from west to east of Indonesia, with a capacity of 10 megawatt and additional scalability of 20 megawatt. We upgraded the infrastructure from enterprise-grade carrier data center to hyperscaler-ready commercial data center. We have built a complete management, operation teams, and new regional office in Indonesia with 3 new greenfield projects in development, ready for hyperscales interested in entering Indonesia, as well to provide enterprise needs in Indonesia. As part of PDG commitment for sustainability, we are proud to inform you that PDG is the first company and data center in Indonesia to purchase and use renewable energy from PLN. We have first applied the REC in our Bintaro data center and plan to expand the use of it to our other area of data center across Indonesia. We are also maximizing efficient use of energy while maintaining our SLA standard. REC from PLN has been implemented in PDG Bintaro and has become the initiator of green data center in Indonesia. These features, however, will not stop PDG from building more environmental friendly data center. In the future, REC will also be implemented in all of PDG data centers across Indonesia, along with other enhancements in each site based on PLN availability. Our data center represents the 3 major parts of Indonesia, west to east, and all of our DC has connected to its DC up to 100 gigabit per second. PDG is the best choice and solution for businesses keen to having their primary and secondary DC in single operator. a DC provider with global standard for their primary and secondary DC. Multiple layers of security, including visitor management, physical security, and fire protection, are implemented in our data center. As a neutral carrier data center, PDG gives customers flexibility to choose their trusted telecommunication provider.
Wow, this is incredible, amazing proof points of what PDG has done in Indonesia. I believe that three are unmatched experience of data center expert who are behind this development. Mr. Steph, would you mind to introduce them to us?
Well, I'm more than happy to introduce few members of my team.
Hi, I'm Gerardo Sudio Adrias, Business Process Improvement and Compliance Analyst of PDG Indonesia. PDG presence in Indonesia support the knowledge expansion for the young generations by bringing more awareness to the technology and data center industry.
Hi, I'm Ulfa as Enterprise Sales Lead of PDG Indonesia. As a mother of two, being a part of PDG teams allow me to maintain a good life and work balance while also performing to achieve the highest standard to serving our customer.
Hi, I'm Desi Matitawar as the Head of Operation of PDG Indonesia. Even with 20 years of experience in data center industry, I'm still being challenged with the work and project in this digital transformation era. Furthermore, there's a special atmosphere at PDG. No matter what skill you have or how experienced you are, everyone makes you feel like an important part of the team in PDG.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Mr. Philbert C. as the Managing Director, Structure Research. So, Mr. Philbert, the time is yours.
Thanks for having me again. Thanks to everyone at PDG. My name is Phil Shi. I'm the founder of Structure Research. We are a focused research group. We spend all our time covering the internet infrastructure ecosystem, which includes data centers and hyperscale clouds. And we do spend a lot of time in the Asia Pacific region, and Jakarta, Indonesia is a market that we have spent considerable time in over the last several years, and we're really looking forward to sharing some of our findings on this marketplace. So that's a little bit about me, and maybe I'll just jump into it. Welcome again, everybody, to Digitalizing the Future with Princeton Digital Group. What I'm going to do today is just provide a quick overview of the data center market in Jakarta and Indonesia, and talk about what are some of the main drivers that are taking this market from what was once a very quiet market under the radar to one that has garnered a great deal of attention, especially as the pandemic has really accelerated a lot of dynamics favorable to internet infrastructure. This is an interesting study that's been published more than once in partnership with Google and Temasek and Bain and company. It's really good study on the Southeast Asia internet economy. These are some of the highlights I think that caught my attention anyway, and I think should help you understand just how exciting the growth potential is in this part of the world. The estimated size of Indonesia's internet economy, it would be 130 billion by 2025. That's not that far away. That's 4 years. If you look at some of these statistics, I think what's interesting is Indonesia, 271 million, is about 46% of the entire population of Southeast Asia, so almost half. So just that alone gives you a sense for the sheer size of this country and this economy, which I think is the fourth largest population in national population in the world. So you see the growth trajectory projected for the internet economy. I think what's really interesting is the slide I highlighted in the middle, the chart there, which shows how much e-commerce is driving things on the ground in Indonesia. So you see, using pre-lockdown as kind of a baseline, you'll see what has happened in terms of e-commerce usage and adoption in the last year and a half. It has just rise significantly, and it's part of this larger story. I think what's interesting is that unlike some economies, in the world, a lot of these internet properties that are supporting what businesses are doing, what consumers are doing, what small businesses are doing, are homegrown. And they're born in Indonesia, built in Indonesia by entrepreneurs in Indonesia. And there have been a significant number of success stories in a very short time. These are just some of the names that are out there that have some have acquired what we like to call unicorn status. And there was one very recently to the bottom left, which is just another addition to the family of unicorns, all based in Indonesia and all driving the internet economy growth. On top of that, of course, we see other applications, social media platforms, gaming services that are seeing rising adoption in Southeast Asia that are coming from other parts of Asia, like TikTok and Tencent games. I'm not a gamer myself, but there is a significant amount of gaming growth in this marketplace, and that and technology is driving the internet economy in Asia, and in particular in Indonesia. So to support these kinds of platforms, you'll need internet-based infrastructure, data centers, and often cloud infrastructure platforms. Some companies, of course, have built their own proprietary infrastructure, but many of them are starting to run these businesses on hyperscale clouds, and in particular, some of the biggest clouds in the world. This is the current kind of picture of the hyperscale clouds that have landed in Indonesia. On the left, live, up and running, confirmed in the middle, in the process of building out data centers and cloud infrastructure to go live in the country in the next few years. And of course, there's always a rumor mill, and we should expect that there are more to come. And the significance of all this is you kind of think of it as in a very integrated ecosystem. These applications need, as I said, of course, they need internet infrastructure, data center infrastructure to run it. Many of these companies have chosen to run on public clouds, hyperscale clouds, and those hyperscale clouds often use wholesale or third-party data center co-location services to support their platforms. In the case of Indonesia, that's at least at this stage, the primary use case, which is using third-party co-location, and that's where the data center story comes in to the picture. Again, applications, content, businesses, increased e-commerce usage, increased gaming, increased life and business going online, those things being supported by cloud infrastructure, and the cloud infrastructure housed in these large wholesale co-location data centers. Just to give you a sense of just how fast cloud is growing, this is our most recent tracking of the global hyperscale cloud infrastructure market at the end of the second quarter this year. 5-year CAGR of 33.4%, and you'll see on the right the chart. This is a market that continues to grow. It's already worth over 100 billion US this year, and I guess that looks like it's going to triple or almost quadruple in the next 5 years if that growth rate on the left continues, which we fully expect it will. Just to before I jump into the specifics of the Jakarta market, just want to again give you a sense. I haven't yet quite mentioned that a lot of these trends were in place but have accelerated through the pandemic, and the pandemic environment has definitely underscored the significant value of digital infrastructure. As you can see from some of these real estate categories, that digital infrastructure, data centers, has been by far the healthiest during this pandemic period, with returns far exceeding other categories that have been negatively impacted by the pandemic. And it's a basic byproduct of what's going on out there. Life, business, personal, social is moving into an online medium, and that online medium is supported by digital infrastructure, by the accumulation and use of data. That data needs to be stored, applications need to run and compute, and together that all grows significantly. Just want to share some of our findings on the data center market in Jakarta. This was a study that we conducted that is specific to focused on the Jakarta market. It does not include other markets in Indonesia, though we fully expect those will mature and develop over time. This is a market that we feel is around 250 million in value in US dollars, a relatively small footprint today at about just over 90 megawatts, but projected to grow significantly, as you can see from this chart, over the next 5 years. And this is going to be driven, as you can guess, by a lot of this hyperscale cloud growth, which is in turn driving consumption of co-location data centers. I'll point out you'll see the 93.2 in the 2021, and you can see that that's the projected live inventory that we anticipate is coming to market. So by 2024, that 93 will have doubled to 189. But the numbers above, especially the ones I'll point to you in red, which is at 599, which is basically 600 megawatts. That is the kind of, think of it as the theoretical total capacity. If you take the inventory of all land banks, announced plans and builds, and anticipated expansions, as well as existing infrastructure, if it was all maxed out and maximized, that's the kind of market that you would have. You will hit that number. This market will hit 600 at some point in the future, but this gives you a sense for what is already planned for and anticipated. And as you can see, just last year when we started really digging deep into this market, a 70 megawatt market is going to look a lot different in a very short time frame. This is just the same kind of idea, just charting out the total value of the market in US dollars. And as you can see, hyperscale is the primary driver of this. And as you see along the bottom, the percentage share of the market coming from hyperscale wholesale is going to quickly reach about half the market and then surpass that by the time 2025, 26 rolls around, or I should say, sorry, 24 rolls around. This is just the same growth, just kind of isolated on a growth rate basis. You'll see that, I would point you to the hyperscale growth pattern, which is at about 80% year-over-year growth, and then dips down in 2 years to about 40%. That doesn't mean this market is diminishing or slowing down by any stretch. What it means is that, first of all, the market is growing extremely quickly from a very small base, as well as the fact that there's going to be a wave of hyperscale consumption pushing this market up. Is this initial wave or hyperscale build out driven by the public clouds becomes real and comes live to the marketplace. This is just a quick picture of the market now. As you can see, very quickly markets we find tend to cluster for various reasons. Early on in the stage of development, we've identified where these clusters have emerged. As hyperscale matures and goes out, you'll see that diversity from a geographic perspective, from a diversity and redundancy perspective, become important. And so you should see the dots on these maps continue to accumulate. It's, as I mentioned, this is a developing market that is in very early stages with plenty of upside. Right now, operational data centers we've tracked that offer third-party co-location at about 23 and counting. As you can see from that highlight in the red, we expect that, again, in a very short time frame, 2023, not that far away, we expect a total of just over 200 megawatts to be fully built out when everyone gets to market. So, yeah, it's a lot of activity on the ground to support what's happening in real life and what's happening, that real life moving and happening on the public cloud. Just want to quickly summarize, what we've talked about today. Internet adoption, it's taking off. I think that's no secret. The pandemic, if it's done anything, it's accelerated adoption and digitalization, validated the online medium, and validated, of course, the value proposition of internet-based infrastructure. This adoption, of course, driving hyperscale cloud growth, and in turn, the public clouds are running, especially in a market like Jakarta, running primarily in co-location data centers at this point, and we expect that trend to continue even as hyperscalers diversify their strategies. I think what's interesting and why people ask me, why do you think the Indonesia data center market is so interesting and why it has so much potential? I think unlike a lot of parts of Asia and the world for that matter, it's a market that could see all the hyperscale clouds, whether they're from the US or China, end up being live and running. There are less geopolitical issues that you see in other parts of the region and other parts of the world, and that just makes for a larger total addressable market. And data center operators that plan to partner with these clouds are really excited about that opportunity that's coming down the pipeline. And as I showed you in the chart earlier before, we already have basically 5 clouds confirmed, and that list could get up to 6, 7, or 8 before long. And that doesn't include that's just the hyperscale public clouds. That doesn't include, of course, all the very interesting content and social media and gaming platforms that also come that either can run their own infrastructure or end up live running on the public cloud. So clouds will build. You saw that map. They'll build in multiple clusters. They'll diversify into regions, and in time, they'll spread across Indonesia into some of the second-tier markets. Perhaps the Surabaya would be the next stop. But for now, I think the initial build out is centered around Jakarta. And I think it'll keep companies like Princeton Digital Group very busy. But other locations, whether that's kind of within or close to Greater Jakarta, like Bandung, or further out into other major metros and connectivity points like Surabaya, I think you'll see the market develop and perhaps develop faster than we might think in terms of where we are today. So thanks for your time. I hope I didn't talk too fast. And that you're able to keep up with me. But if you have questions, I think the Princeton Digital Group team will be happy to field them during the M&A, or you can email, and I'd be certainly happy to address them and copy in the Princeton. Thanks very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Mr. Phil and Mr. Steve to share the perspective on this question. Okay, Mr. Phil, the question is, what trend do you currently see in Indonesia in regards to digital transformation?
Yeah, I see so many things happening at the same time. So, when it comes to both consumers, small businesses, and enterprise, I think the common thread is that across those segments, you see early stages of adoption, but very fast early stage adoption, and as I mentioned earlier, an acceleration through the pandemic environment, as it kind of just provided a spark and for organizations to start thinking more seriously about how internet infrastructure would power their businesses, and for people and consumers and small business, how it would have impacted their life now that they were living in an environment that is just less mobile and more virtual. And so I think that's while there's so many different things going on, I think that the number one thing to think about is that the directional trend is forward. It is towards more adoption. It is towards accelerating adoption. It is towards using digital, not just as a perhaps in the enterprise context as a cost-cutting measure, but also as a way to become more efficient, to drive more value, and as well to create new products and services. And ultimately, as we move out of the pandemic, to adopt to what probably is going to be a new way of life. So, yeah, a lot of, I think I've spent time in Indonesia myself, and I think it's been a very, very dramatic transition from the world of it's always been a mobile-friendly market, but to go full digital in an environment that has always been mobile friendly has really kind of created a perfect storm that has really accelerated things.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pilbertsy, for your answer and opinion. Mr. Steph, can you share your perspective in this case?
Okay, sure. With the rapid growth of digitalization in Indonesia, people are starting to rely on digital solutions in their everyday life. More and more enterprises also transform their business digitally in order to accommodate people's needs, now more than ever.
Thank you so much for your answer and opinion. And the next question is, how is the growth and future prospect for business utilizing digitalization in Indonesia?
Well, it's an exciting future, especially as I said, when it's so early in the adoption curve. There's so many things. There's so much potential for organizations to not just, again, become more efficient in how they run their infrastructure, how they run their business, but to create new opportunities to access new markets, create new products and services, fundamentally rethink how they run their businesses, and how they need to adapt to the changing habits of consumers that they serve, and those in the B2B space, the businesses and partners that they serve. So I think that there's plenty, just because we're so early, like I said, and because public cloud is arriving in this market with the innovation that they can bring at scale, organizations will have the ability to use co-location, private clouds, managed hosting services, as well as public cloud services. In some, they can use them in any combination, and they can use them for various things, and to run different parts of their business or different applications in different workloads. So, the growth and the prospects, just from a bottom line operational perspective, as well as a top line revenue growth perspective, I think are exciting.
Yeah, what do you think about it?
Business will continue to rise in their efforts to transform digitally, and PDG is prepared to becoming their partners in supporting their needs to meet with Indonesia demands.
And the next question is, how have digital transformation, mainly in this COVID-19 pandemic, affect the way customers and business behave?
Yeah, I mean, it's turned the world a bit upside down. And I think, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think it's accelerated adoption at a business level, at a consumer level. I just think that, just some of the ways that we do things have been fundamentally rethought. And I think kind of the turning point when we look at some things and say, you know what, that's probably not going to work anymore, or there's a better way to do this. And because our lives, the way we behave, the way we work, the way we socialize, the way we travel, is all going to change. And some of the new ways of doing things that are more efficient and frankly have become more comfortable for a lot of people, they'll continue to do that. So in a context like Jakarta in Indonesia, consumers and businesses are going to take that comfort with mobile, and I think take that to the next level, and think of, really start thinking about how we can, Indonesian businesses can conduct business electronically through e-commerce, whether that's buying, from an online shopping website, whether that's using your phone to order various types of products and services, a service like Gojek where you can literally get almost anything, and just the way people communicate, of course, and use gaming platforms to not just play games but socialize through gaming platforms. All of that behavior is game changing, and at the consumer level, will always, of course, I think it's tightly integrated with what happens at the business level, because businesses are ultimately serving consumers.
And talking about digital transformation, Mr., mainly in this COVID-19 pandemic affect the way consumers and business behave, and what do you think?
consumers have definitely shifted their mindset into finding more comfortable and safer alternatives provided by businesses. This has pushed businesses into transforming digitally more quickly and meeting the growing needs during this pandemic.
Thank you, Mr. Steph, for your answer. Well, thank you so much for the answer. And the next question is, how does the shift to digitalization affect the demand for data center facility for hyperscalers and enterprise in the market?
Yeah, so maybe I'll tackle that at two levels. Maybe I'll start with hyperscale, where that's kind of the big topic of the day. So, how does it affect the data center? Obviously at a fundamental level, it drives demand. The requirement, and it increases the scale of requirements significantly. Hyperscale, public clouds consume data center infrastructure at a level just unforeseen, that we've never seen before, and at a level that just seems to continue to accelerate. Most, planning and projections for hyperscale tend to be off in the sense that they're usually under what is required because things are growing so fast. That's not going to, and this is not something that's going to slow down as we move into post-pandemic environments. So data center operators have to deal with scale. They have significant scale that they've never seen before, and they have to plan for unique, so there's demand, they have to plan for scale, and then they have to serve the unique requirements of hyperscale public cloud customers, which are very, very unique, very specific, and demand a lot of planning, a lot of capital, a lot of patience, and ultimately, have the imperative to deliver on time and to perform for the customer. So it's really just changed the game. It's why the hyperscale colocation data center, hyperscale data centers is become, and it is pretty much become a new category in and of itself, because the requirements are so unique, and customers, the hyperscale customers tend not to choose, tend not to work with anybody. They tend to work with providers that are able to perform, that have a track record, that have the scale and scope and capital to support what it is they're trying to do. So I know that was a bit of a long-winded answer for the hyperscale side. On the enterprise side, absolutely, I think that the same demand that is being driven by what's going on with digital transformation is going to positively impact the enterprise data center market. Probably, and enterprise data center customers, as they come to their, work with, as they look to co-locate, as they look to outsource with their data center partners, the demand is there, perhaps not quite at the scale, at the level of hyperscale. But I think you'll see, in terms of, you asked, like, what kind of shift in strategy, or kind of how does it impact the demand? I think you'll see customers work with their data center operators in a more cooperative and collaborative way. I think they will look to them more as partners, not just, hey, guys with real estate, and connectivity, open up and let me move my gear in. I think it's much more than that now. It'll continue to move in that direction. It's more like, how can I, use your data center to drive operational efficiency and value for my business? Is it just co-location? Could it be other types of managed infrastructure services? And I think what's really important is data center context, interconnection, connectivity, whether that's to other networks, other partners, and of course the connectivity to the public cloud. And I think you'll see that start to develop in a market like Indonesia, where connectivity is the on-ramps to these clouds as they build out will continue to become more available, and they'll scale up, and the volume of demand will be higher, and then you'll see co-location in enterprise co-location environments start to value the locations that have direct connectivity to public cloud, and so that will be a part of this larger conversation and strategy.
Well, once again, thank you so much for your answer, Mr. Phil. Talking about digitalization affect the demand for data center facilities for hyperscalers and enterprise in the market. What do you think about it?
With the growing number of needs for businesses to store their data in a safe and supported environment, Data center facilities are in demand to help and support Indonesia digital economy by providing businesses with this solution.
Okay, well, once again, thank you so much for your answer, Mr. Steph. And also, we have a question for the audience. The question is, how can data center support the needs of business this digital era?
I think I probably addressed some of that in my previous comment, but I think it's very difficult to say what they need most. I mean, I think that every piece of critical digital infrastructure is so important. You can't have one without the other. So I would say when it comes to data centers, the best way to think of it is that organizations want co-location customers. They want well-performing, high-quality, redundant infrastructure with access to connectivity. But they also want, as I mentioned, a business partner, a strategic partner to help them deal with their infrastructure needs. And I think this comment extends from hyperscale to enterprise. I think that they may be looking at their partner in different ways, but ultimately, they do see their data center operators not just a landlord, a provider of power and connectivity. It's very much a relationship that's it's less transactional and reactive, and more proactive and forward-looking. So I think that definitely that's a big shift in the market. I would say that's something that it's not the most important thing. I would argue there's nothing that's most important, but that's increasingly moving to the top of the list, and everything I think flows down from there. You can't have everything else, power, connectivity, redundancy, uptime, without a strong working relationship between the customer and operator.
And we have some question for audience. The first question is, how can data center support the needs of business this digital era?
With the fast-moving digitalization now happening around the world, data centers are able to become the solution for safely kept data and up and running hardware to support businesses in this digital era. Further, hyperscalers tends to need scalability and flexibility due to the increasing demand in some periods of time. Hence, PDG offers the same solution in order to help support their needs.
And the next question is, what is the appropriate for data center facility strategy in Indonesia as archipelago country?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one of the significant challenges of operating in Jakarta and a country like Indonesia. I don't know if there's any kind of magic bullet strategy. I think it's very much about working with an operator that is experienced and knows how understands a market, has a proven track record in that market. Has done the research, has operated, understands the nuances and specifics of the market that are specific to that region. And so, yeah, I think that just good operating principles drive a good data center business, and ultimately that is the most optimal way. I think every operator will know how to adapt to the specific kind of unique requirements in a specific geography. Obviously, Indonesia with its various different kind of natural challenges around natural disasters and just the unique layout of the country across so many islands. But in terms of what would another element of an overall strategy be? I think it's multi-market, right? I think that just given how large the country is and how spread out it is, and that there are many other major metros besides Jakarta, that an optimal strategy from both the customer and the operating perspective is multi-location. So where do you go next once you kind of set up your infrastructure in Jakarta? How do you serve the Northern Islands? How do you serve further east? Those questions will, if this $130 billion internet economy in 2025 for 270 million people, that's not going to, that's not going away, but it's also not, it's very much centered around Jakarta, but it doesn't completely encompass Jakarta. So I think that is something to think about, and I think will be really exciting to watch play out in the next few years.
Okay, and also the next question is, what is the appropriate for data center facility strategy in Indonesia as archipelago country?
Okay. As an archipelago country, data centers need to have several options in order to provide businesses with scalability and flexibility, where if data centers are only focused in one area, businesses might not be able to serve their customer outside of that range in full potential and are more prone to disruptions.
And the last question is, how do you think Princeton Digital Group will support the booming digital economy of Indonesia with the newest greenfield development of GC2?
Yeah, it's an exciting opportunity. It's an exciting time in the market, and I think Princeton is coming in at a good time as the market is just starting to take off. So they will, have the advantage of being able to tackle significant potential addressable market with the public clouds that are landing in this market, as well as all these other social media gaming platforms, as well as the enterprise opportunity that is looking more aggressively at outsourcing their data center infrastructure and just operating more efficiently. So yeah, I think it's because a lot of these the unicorns and a lot of this exciting technology development in Indonesia is running on the cloud, and in some cases running on their own proprietary infrastructure. There's a huge ecosystem of needs of infrastructure requirements that PDG is positioned to meet. So I think that's the exciting part of this timing, being in having a good location and substantial inventory makes for great opportunity, and I look forward to tracking it.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Pilbertsy, for your answer and opinion. And Mr. Steph, talking about Princeton Digital Group will support the booming digital economy of Indonesia with the newest greenfield development of GC2. What do you think about it?
Princeton Digital Group newest greenfield development GC2 is equipped with premium facilities and unmatched experts in human capital for us to support enterprises and hyperscalers in the booming digital economy of Indonesia.
Well, what a great answer. Thank you so much for Mr. Steve for your answer. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's all for today. Thank you so much for your attention, and let us close the Digitalizing the Future with Princeton Digital Group. I'm Sebastian, and have a good day.